All right, we're back. We're following up, and we're going to talk about game planning, income growth. David, you had a question.
Yeah, my question is, how do we make it automatic? How do we keep growing, recruiting, the premiums, the promotions automatically?
Great question. How to make growth automatic. And George, as we were talking, you had some ideas about your measurement, and that's what it is. You got to have this thing where you can't trust your people to understand it. You'll probably be, you can explain it, but in my experience, people, it takes them forever to understand things. They got so many things to learn, so many things in their life. Plus, that's like asking people on the plane, riding on the plane, all the stewardesses, to pay attention to radar in the cockpit. You're flying this thing. How can you make this thing happen? How can you take your team to the top as fast as possible with them just focusing on, and keep them focusing on what their jobs are, and they know if they just trust you, this thing will work. But here's how you do it. And that was really the question, right, David? How to take the guesswork out. How can I know that let's just say 1 year at a time, okay? If I take this year, all right, let's half year, third year. So in a year, you start off, you got your, you start January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and then December. I don't know, I went crazy on some of that. So let's just say that's January, that's February, that's March, April. And I was always drawing the year out. I had to have a picture in my mind of where I was, because if I don't know where I am, how can I lead anybody else? Like the Bible says, the blind lead the blind, they'll both fall in the ditch. Well, I have to have an idea of where I'm going. August, September, October, November, and December, okay? So if I get through this year, let's just say by the end of this year, I got 1 year. And what I want to do is I want to be a leader. I want to be a first-class leader, and I want to help my team have the most possible success they can have. See, I don't know what that is. I do know what this is. This I know. No question about that. This I don't know. But I want to find out what that is. What is the most we could possibly do? Now, what we had talked about before was, it was a thing of growing. It's a process, right? See, it's a process of growing three things. And to grow the income, let's go over here, and I'm going to have a quick we just had see, if we do this, here's how your income goes. Your income, George, here is the answer to all of it. You go on month after month after month after month. And so, David, what happens is, you want to grow your income. If you're in business, you're supposed to grow your income, your profits, your sales. Well, that's what we want to have happen, right? And we don't want it to go up and then down. We want it to be supported. We're going to go as fast as it can go up, but then not, minimize the chance of it to go down. Is that right?
That's right. Right.
Okay. And you want to take, your question, David, is how to take the guesswork out of it. How can I get a game plan for that? How can I be sure? How can I monitor that where I know every day, every month, every week, as I go through the year, I am on track or I'm not on track? Is that what you want?
That's right, and put targets for my managers. That they know the same thing.
Yeah, because how you run the whole ship is how you're going to teach them how to run their ship. And big is just the way you have a month that you have a lot of people do a little, and then you'll have a few people do a lot. You add it up and you have your greatest month ever, even though most people just did a little bit. You got to have a lot of people participating. How can you have that happen? Well, the first thing is you go and see this thing sits in the middle. The income is in the middle of two things. It sits inside, it'll stay right inside the line of recruiting and management promotions. You see that, Dave?
Yes, I do.
So if you want this thing, if your goal is, how can I run a program? How can I game plan where this goes up, Well, like we said, first, second, third. Growth comes in waves. So what you've got to do is every month, if your goal is for this to go up, you've got to first, that's the second step. You can't have the second step go up if you don't have the first step. So you earn the right, David, to have a great sales month by having a record. See, you want to set records. Let's get clear. You've got to record set your way to the top. Okay? If you're not record setting, you're record setting if you're not wasting time. Okay? If you go up and down, you can get there, but it's going to take longer. You see what I'm saying? You can't get the most you can do in a year and have slumps and screwing around like that. You got to stay on track. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Well, if you don't keep growing your recruiting, say, like at the end of this year, I want to send this recruiting up to where it could be as high when this year is over. We have as many recruits if we, possible. And then the second thing is we're going to go and train those recruits and see what they got, make them productive, get them in the battlefield where that we can see what they made of, see if they'll be a temporary or a permanent person. Now, and take the best and brightest and help permitize them by helping them move them into management by starting their own teams, right? Now, when they start their own teams, guess what program you're going to be? All they are is starting back here at the beginning like you did. So let's just say down here, 3 or 4 months during the year, you start a new guy. Well, what he does is his year starts there. See, you started here, now he's starting here. Now he's going to start growing his recruiting. He's got to the end of the year. He's going to try and see how high he can get his recruiting. He's going to then train those people and see how high he can drive his sales, which is his personal income. And then from that, the follow-through, it's like baseball. You got to swing the bat. You got to get to the plate. This is how many times can I get to the plate? How many people can I try? Recruiting are management candidates. See, you begin with the end in mind. You're beginning with the idea that I want to wind up with managers so I can grow, my outlets. And so the idea of recruiting is to bring people in who've got a good chance at turning into that. And so these are all management candidates. They come in and you're doing tryouts. The training you do is you're putting them through their paces and putting them through tryouts. Okay? So you get the candidates, you put them through the tryouts, and the winners, the best and brightest, guess what? They get promoted. They take their place in your team. All right? So, now, if you have your brand new guy coming in here, starting off, he's going to be, here he starts here, he's got to do the same thing. Grow his recruiting. Grow his, get his management candidates. Then put them through their tryouts, with him conducting the tryouts. And then take the winners, the best and brightest, and he starts to build his management team. You have a bunch of guys underneath you doing that. That adds up to your total. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
All right, that wraps up part 1. Hopefully you didn't get too confused looking at that. And part 2, we're going to take a look at how you can build a kind of a growth corridor and control your maximum and minimum possible production month by month. It's great to know you can control that because that's what the big companies do, and the ideas they use can work for you too.